All right, let's switch off of the proactive telling the story. I want to talk to you guys a little about reacting to contact. Reacting to contact as public affairs officers. You know, we are not always going to be able to know when a story is coming out, understand when something negative is going to happen. We do not always have the opportunity to tell the positive story that we want to tell, or the factual story that may have a positive slant or a balanced slant that we want to tell. And so how do you react to contact? I will tell you that if you don't have a plan as a public affairs professional, if you haven't linked in with your command and rehearsed this, when the event happens, a tragic event happens, and it's going to happen to somebody in this room, one of your agencies, organizations, posts, camps, bases, installations is going to have a tragic event happens, and you as a public affairs professional are going to have to instantly be ready to be able to handle this from a media relations standpoint. And have you rehearsed it? Have you rehearsed it? Fort Bliss did. Fort Hood has. We have learned the hard way. How do you set up a media ops and support center? Which media do you contact immediately? Do you do it digitally? Social media? Do you do it by phone? What's your system to do that? Who does it? When you shut down the gate because something's happened and something's there and there's an event going on, you have to shut down the gate, but you want to do a joint press conference? Number one, have you linked into the hospital from a public affairs officer? Do you know who the public affairs officer is in the hospital, closest hospitals in your region or area? Do you know the sheriff, the FBI? Do you have them on speed dial? Do you know who they are? Have you rehearsed how to get them together so you have a joint or interagency press conference and or statement that goes out? Do you know who from your public affairs shop goes to the gate to escort the media in to go to the press conference that you want to set up? Have you thought about all this? If you haven't, by the time an event happens, it's too late. What is your responsibility as a public affairs professional when a tragedy occurs or a bad incident happens and you have to quickly react to contact? So what you see here, General Twitty, very quickly. Use of social media, joint conference, FBI, sheriffs, Fort Bliss, and look at his messaging. You could take this type of messaging, and if you're looking at the underpinnings that it takes to get this message out with having an FBI or sheriff's person right next to him, if you can conceptualize this using this as a baseline, then you can do that. And every year now, the United States Army plans through its force protection exercises on installations. This needs to, should be, usually is a key piece of their planning and their rehearsal of a force protection exercise every single year, an annual requirement. And you can see this. Shelter in place, everyone's going to be fine, casualties deceased, prayers with the victim's family, there's no more threat, everything's under control. He did it, he executed this press conference immediately. You know, and why is this important? I'm going to talk to you about some rules at the end. I'm going to kind of thread them through as I go. But there's a couple things that you need to keep in mind. Negative stories are going to happen. Negative things are going to happen. You cannot turn your back on these stories. Your commands cannot turn your back on these stories. Because guess what? This is like the old tree in the woods question. You know, can you hear it fall if you're not there? Well, the story's going to get told, whether you are part of it or not. The story is going to get told. The question is, do you engage at the right level at the right time? Because I kind of liken it to a game. You know, if you go into a game and you know that you're going to go in and it's a losing game. I mean, this is the #1 team versus the 130th team. You just know going in you're going to lose. It's a losing proposition. It's going to be a negative game. It's going to be a negative experience. The question I'd ask you is, if you turn your back, you're going to lose 10-0 over 5 days. Or do you engage and make it a 10-7 loss over 2.5 days? So do you make it less of a loss, less negative, over less a period of time because you engaged at the right time at the right level? And then when you engage, do you engage again at the right level and use what I call the rule of proportionality? The rule of proportionality. And often this is where you as public affairs professionals have to be the objective people to give that counsel to your commanders. Because often commanders will react from a gut, from an emotional standpoint. Something will come out in the news that's negative, that's unfactual, that they don't like, and or something that they've been heavily invested in that is being painted in a different contextual reality that is truthful, and they want to engage. They want to jump out there and get on it. But the rule of proportionality says, do you want to, you got to keep a local story local, regional regional, and if it's a national story, how do you get it off the national very quickly? Do not be very careful about and do not allow commanders disproportionately by rank, authority, or from an emotional standpoint engage the media and take a local story and make it regional for a longer time, or a regional story and make it national. That can happen. Should it be the public affairs spokesperson that talks to them? What rank should that public affairs spokesperson be that talks to the media? I don't do it every single time. I have civilians and I have lieutenant colonels that do that every single day, engage with the media as spokespersons. But when I come, I usually come off the top rope, and I come and I as Brigadier General Malcolm Frost is a spokesperson to usually take a story and to cut it and make it less and get it off the national scope as quickly as possible. Because why? Not because it's me, but when I come in, it's usually something that is big, but it's also something that, quite frankly, is usually painted in a wrong context, or something that is unfactual at a national level that warrants the Army's spokesperson, chief spokesperson, to come in. We get 560 queries from the media a month. I can't be the person that speaks to all 560, nor can the Chief of Staff or the Secretary of the Army. You've got to have different spokespersons. You've got to understand who within your shop engages what media, at what level, and why. So the rule of proportionality plays in. The rule of proportionality.